Hey everybody, welcome to Monday Night Live in Lexington, you guys. My name is Kathryn Kauffman and I'm a psychic medium here in Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome to my every Monday night show. This is where we discuss what and who we are in this journey called life. Happy Monday night, everybody. Hey to Perfectly Paralegal on Instagram. Good to see you tonight. Um, Hope you guys are joining in on Facebook okay. Let me hop over to that page and see if sometimes the chat doesn't connect like it should, but we'll see for tonight. I do know that internet's been a little bit wonky today, so hey to Amber, good to see you. And Magical Monday, indeed, Melissa. Can you guys give me a mic check and let me know if my audio's coming through okay? I know last week we had some trouble with the audio, and hopefully this will not happen again today. I've taken steps to try to fix that, and just doing some waves over here on Instagram for everybody. Of course, Instagram never has any problem with video or audio because I do that all on my cell phone, so it never has any problem with the streaming. But I mean, the downside to that for Instagram is, you guys don't get to see the intro. You don't get to see any special videos that I have to put out, and then you don't get to see the QR codes. So here is a QR code for coffee donations. If anybody wants to, send a cup of coffee my way, just scan that and send some little jumping Java beans to me. I love those. Hey to Paula Stumbo, good to see you tonight. This is a really good show that we're going to do this evening, you guys. Because a lot of people are empathic, but they really kind of stifle their abilities because of the negative side of being an empath, and then they don't fully use their ability. It can be a really good thing to practice and learn how to control so that you can use it for your decisions, but not be hampered by the emotionality of it. And then, so what we're going to go over is, a little bit about being a clairsentient and empath, and then 4 easy steps to test your empathic ability, because testing it is the only way you get used to what's really a message, what's really information, and what's not. And then I'm going to tell you the most beneficial way to delineate between the pure emotions and then the gut feeling. Special shout out to Martha McGuire. Good to see you tonight. I'm so happy that you're here. And please feel free, Martha, chime in, help us out, add to the program. So let's talk about what it means to be a clairsentient. A clairsentient is a person, well, what that really means is clear sensing or clear senses. It's an umbrella term for 3 different abilities of knowing, feeling, and then touching. Okay. This type of feeling is included in this umbrella term of clairsentience. So let's go into the 3 breakdown parameters of clairsentience, which is psychic knowing, psychic feeling, and psychometric or psychotouching. So clairsentient psychic knowing is when you have a situation where I don't know how I know, but I just know. Like, I just know this isn't right, or I just know these 2 people are meant to be together, or I just know this is the correct way for me to do this. So it's not, it's the knowing part is not used as much as the psychic feeling part or the empath. Hey to Dana, good to see you tonight. Um, but we do use it a lot. I would say psychic knowing is like the second used. First used is psychic feeling, second used is psychic knowing, and the third used is the psychometric or psychic feeling through touch. Okay, so a lot of people become very proficient at psychic knowing, which they can often answer, I just know this is the path to go on, or I just know that this is the answer to the problem. And their knowing usually turns out to be correct. Then we go into psychic feeling, which is the empath. Okay. And that is the person that says, I just feel like this is the proper way to do things. It just feels right to me. Information is processed through the solar plexus or the gut feeling area, and everything in the empath's life is analyzed on how they interpret the feeling of what they receive. What information does the solar plexus pull in, and how does it analyze that on how you feel about it? So the empath's interaction and evaluation of their own environment is strictly by feeling. So in marketing, this is a big thing that's done in marketing these days, to influence the emotions or feelings of a person to dissuade them from how they really think about things. So oftentimes, marketing campaigns will use emotional or feeling type of productive videos or visuals that stimulate an emotional reaction, because this will get people off of track of how they really think into the emotional area, and it will pull in the empathic person. And often empaths will be going down a different path on feeling from what they really think, to something that may not be correct. So Martha says the solar plexus is an empath's most sensitive and effective chakra and needs extra care. I absolutely agree, Martha, and I also agree that it needs extra care, it needs extra cleansing, and it also needs extra protection. So when I work with people on increasing and using their empathic ability, we really go over when to open your ability and when to close and how to block that area from an overload or a barrage of negative information that you may not want to absorb. So, another thing that happens, oh, my hairs get caught up in my glasses, is there may be media situations that use emotional topics to dissuade clairsentient empaths. And so you really, as an empath, you have to block the emotional impulses that you get from media and from marketing. And you have to be able to look at the core of what you're seeing and try to stick with the truth and not how you feel about it, because a lot of stuff can be sort of like clickbait for feeling, if you will. Let's go over the third thing about being a clairsentient, and that is the psychometric aspect of it, or clear sensing through touch. Okay, so often we will say, if I could just feel of this object, I would be able to know if it's worth buying. So, clairsentient empaths, psychometrics have a real hard time buying things online simply because we can't touch what we're buying. And when we touch what we're buying, we gather information through feeling of touch. And so, touch is a very important thing You can receive information through touching things. This information can be memories or scenes from a past timeline of a location, or the past energy imprints from an item that has an attachment or an imprint, such as a haunted item. So those three things are what you're using when you use your clairsentient ability. Hey to Terry over here on Instagram. Good to see you tonight, and thanks for joining. I will be looking for questions. Let me check Facebook, because I really don't trust the chat boxes on these streaming services, because they don't show everything. Okay, I think we're good though. All right. So let's get into the 4 easy. They're so easy, you guys. It's almost funny. 4 easy ways to test your empathic abilities. Testing it, you know how they say practice makes perfect? Again, amen to that. You've got to practice it. You've got to know what's real input and what is an emotional input. And at the end of the 4 ways to test your empathic abilities, I'm going to give the difference between an emotional input and the true psychic feeling or gut feeling input. Hey to Ina and Charles Biggs. Good to see you guys tonight. I'm so glad you're here. And thanks to you guys over here on Instagram for joining. So, number 1 on 4 easy ways to test your empathic ability. Number 1, you're going to get 3 paper bags and have an assistant put broccoli in one, salt in another, and candy in the third bag. And then you're going to write on the bottom of the bags, or your assistant is going to write on the bottom of the bags what's in them. Now, you're not to see any of this. You go to another room and you stay there until your assistant calls you in there. Now, you're going to use your left hand to place over the bags and sense. And the reason why is your left hand is controlled by your right brain. And your right brain is your intuition, your subconscious, and how you really feel about stuff. So that's what we want to use. So, left hand over each bag. And what you're going to do is you're going to close your eyes and sense, does this bag feel sweet? Okay, over each bag. Now, one bag has salt, one bag has broccoli, the other bag has candy. So you're going to do this a series of 5 times, and take your notes on whether you were right or wrong. Okay, 70%. If you get 70% correct over 5 sessions, you're doing excellent. You're doing great. That's wonderful. Okay, just get 70%. But so each time your assistant moves the bags around, you of course need to go to the other room and sequester yourself, so you can't see where they're moving the bags to. And sometimes people will just memorize the shape and the crumple of the bags. So even put a cloth over the top of the bags so that you can't really identify each bag by a certain wrinkle, because you don't want to, this needs to be honestly done. You don't want to try to memorize the bags and how they are laying. But that is number 1, are the 3 bag tests. And you want to repeat that 5 times. Okay. Number 2, and I would say most of these you're going to have to get somebody to help you with, but there's 1 or 2 that you don't. So number 2, get someone to help you with this exercise. Each person sits with a door in between the 2 of you. So one person sits on one side of the door, the other person sits on the other side. One is the sender, the other is the receiver. Okay. The sender concentrates on a single emotion. Then the sender will try to emanate that emotion on the opposite side of the door, be it fear, anxiety, rage, happiness, whatever. They're going to focus on the one emotion or feeling that they want to send to the sender. As the receiver, you will focus on what feelings are coming from the area of the sender. It sometimes helps to center the consciousness in the midsection of the abdomen. This is the area where the empath senses on feeling are located. Have a pad of paper with you as the receiver and jot down on your pad of paper some of the things that you're feeling. Maybe you're feeling like laughter, anguish, anger. You could even sketch a picture of the feeling if that helps, like someone yelling or flowers for happiness. Then, after 10 minutes of the sender sending the emotion or sending the feeling, and the receiver jotting down what they get or drawing what they get, evaluate the results. Okay. Now, I suggest you do this at least 3 times. Again, 70% correct is an excellent, excellent score. Okay. Anything less than 70 means you just need to practice and improve. Okay. Um, but 70% means you're already at a high level of using your ability. So then you just have to practice more to be able to trust the information that you're receiving. Okay, number 3. Here's the parking lot. This one can be done by yourself. When in a parking lot, pull your car to the side. Close your eyes and try to feel where the empty parking spots are. Then open your eyes and drive to those spots to see if you're correct. You can also just let your gut feeling guide you to the spots without stopping. I always suggest that people pull off to the side and close their eyes and try to focus on the parking lot first. But as you get better at it and as you do it more, you will just be driving to those spots. You will just feel exactly where those spots are, and you won't have a problem locating those. But now here's an important thing. Even if somebody pulls into the parking spot before you enter into the parking spot, it's still counted as correct, because while you were sensing it, it was open. So don't discount a correct, sensing because somebody else has gotten the spot before you. Keep a record of your correct reception and see if practice increases your accuracy on finding a parking spot. Okay. Now, number 4 is super fun. And we actually used to do this at Halloween parties when I was very little. And my mom told us that when she was younger, they actually did this at what they called play parties in and around Halloween. Although back then, I don't believe they had lifesavers, but they did have colored hard candy. Okay. So, what you want to do is you want to get a paper bag with multicolored lifesavers. You're going to break them apart and scatter the lifesavers throughout the bag. And I suggest using 2 rolls to do this. Then, without looking, close your eyes, put your left hand down in the bag. Why? Because your left hand's controlled by the right brain. Put your left hand down in the bag and try to pick out only the green colored lifesavers. And what you want to do while you're sensing for it is you're going to sense the green, cool color, but also you're going to sense the lime taste in your mouth. Okay. So normally, if we were just visualizing the color or we were just trying to feel the color, that's sort of more clairvoyant. But using the lime green along with that, that is more in the senses of your clairsentient ability. Let's see. Martha says, I was thinking of the green one before you mentioned it. Oh, that's so fun. That is so fun. And Ida was too. And that's sort of like, is it the green Skittles that there's a urban legend about? I think it is. I think it's the green Skittles that people have an urban legend about, but the green lifesavers. And you don't necessarily have to use the green lifesaver. You could use the cherry ones if you want to do that, but just remember, couple the taste or the flavor along with the color of what you're picking, and that will hone you into what you want to use, or what you are trying to sense a little bit better. Now remember, 70% is good. If you, let's say you do the lifesaver test, I don't know, 10 times till all the green ones are gone. Um, when you do, looking at your ratios, if 70% is attained, you're doing great. Um, but if you're less than 70, don't be discouraged. All that means is you need to practice, okay? Do not be discouraged. Now we're going to go into one of the most important things for an empath is how to delineate between the true gut feeling and the emotional feeling, because a lot of times where we as empaths get off in and can be taken advantage of, or something else pulled the wool over our eyes or whatever, is by being enlisted by an emotional feeling and not the true gut feeling. So here's how you tell the difference. The emotional feeling, albeit strong, is very close to you, and it has a comfortable feeling, and it does not produce a different resonance inside of you. So it doesn't feel odd. So the only thing that you're going to feel from it is a strong feeling. You're going to get a strong feeling, but it's an emotion that could just lead into a problem because it has no basis. So let's see. Martha says, it also helps to ground yourself before these kind of exercises. Calm energy is connected to intuition. Absolutely. Good point, Martha. Thank you so much. So, emotions just by themselves can lead you down the wrong path. What we want is the true gut feeling or the intuitive feeling. So, here's the gut feeling. The gut feeling comes from and through the subconscious, and it will feel sometimes strange or not exactly comfortable. It doesn't feel close to you. It has a different texture and a different feeling to it. And sometimes it will feel very strange, and it will often prompt you to question the origin of the feeling, like, where did this feeling come from? Or why am I feeling this way? So, gut feelings are based on subconscious information in the environment, which is real data. And those feelings should not be dismissed simply because they have a strange or unfamiliar texture to them. Special shout out to Sam Armstrong. Tell your family and your mom hello, and a big hug from me. So, it can be extremely difficult to be a empath, and empaths can have a tendency to shut down their abilities. But what I'm wanting you to do is maybe block emotions, block um, things that are emotional traps that are meant to get us enlisted in something we may not technically agree in, but also practice your true gut feeling or your true clairsentient feeling, be it touch, be it gut feeling, be it knowing. Practice that, test your ability. You'll know more of when you can use it and how it feels. and you'll be comfortable with the information that you get from it. And it can be a huge, huge, huge benefit to you. How many times have you heard somebody say, if I had just trusted my gut feeling, none of this would have happened? Hey to Valerie over here on Instagram. And the reason is we're taught to dismiss the emotions, that it's just a feeling, don't put any warrant behind it. But you can't. You've got to figure out what's an emotional feeling and what's a gut feeling. And the only way to do that is to test it, get get accustomed to the information that you get from there, get used to using it. It's going to benefit your life tremendously. If any of you guys want to find out more about being an empath, Martha, I would love for you to put in the comments a link to your book. Um, and that will help guide some of these people on their empathic journey a little bit farther. So now I've already started getting into the Kentucky Goblins. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm gonna have to go to these locations, and I'll have to film on these locations, and I may have to get a few friends of mine that have said that they would come with me to go with me, because I'm not exactly a young chick. And traipsing around the woods is a little bit difficult for me these days, but I want to go. So I'm going to stay on here until Martha gets her link. If you guys have any extra questions, let me know. I'm going to check back over here on Facebook to make sure that everything is coming through. There are a few questions that haven't come through, and that depresses me. It just seems like no matter how much AI we have, or how much new technology, some things are just not, they don't work the best. So while we're waiting for the link for Martha's book, I want to give a shout out to all my Patreons. And if you didn't know about my Patreon page, the Patreon page has a daily psychic and moon astrology influences. Okay, so there she's got. Charles wants to know, what is your feeling on Zenner cards? I'm going to have to do a little bit closer look at that, Charles, because I've only taken a brief look at those, maybe once or twice. I don't feel like I have enough knowledge to comment on them. So what I'll do is I'll look at those a little bit more closely, and then I'll let you know. Let me put a link to the Patreon page. These are daily influences, psychic and moon astrology for every day. Okay. For only $3 a month. Okay, so we see. I didn't know there was a difference. Okay. I didn't know there was a difference between emotional gut feeling and just pure gut feeling. This is great. Oh, well, thank you. I'm so glad that you tuned in to find out. It took me many, many, many years to try to figure out what is the difference here, because, sometimes the emotional feeling was so strong and I was so sure about my decision, and then it just blew up in my face. And I'm like, no, there's a difference between the gut feeling and the emotions. And then I had to kind of just get it. I had to feel my way through that to figure out what is the true difference. And the gut feeling was always a different texture, was always a different focus. It always made me question kind of the information. So Amber says, I question my emotion, especially when it is strong. Only recently have I been able to dismiss, for it wasn't my own. Yes. And another feeling that you can try, get it, feeling empath, is taking your left hand and putting it over your solar plexus. thinking about what you're trying to decide on and just asking yourself, how does this feel? Does this feel like an intuition or does this feel like an emotion? And 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to tell that it could be an emotion, especially if we have some kind of personal investment in it. So, like Martha said earlier, try to quiet your mind, try to center yourself and ground yourself before you try to delineate what the situation is. Is it an emotional feeling or is it a true gut feeling? I really thank you guys for tuning in. I hope your Thanksgiving is great. I hope your Thanksgiving is great. And I will see you next Monday night. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do yet because I've gotten so tied up in the Kentucky Goblins that I haven't thought about next Monday's show yet. So I'll make a post on it as soon as I decide. If you guys have a suggestion or there's something specific you want to see, please message me on Facebook. That's the best place to catch up with me on Facebook. For you Patreons, you can message me on Patreon. I will be checking either one. Kisses from Kentucky, and I hope you guys